Today on the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast, we're going to be talking about episode 3 of Daredevil. We have just sat down and watched it. It dropped literally this hour, and we are going to dive in right away and give our instant reactions. In the Hollow of His Hand is the name of the episode. All that right after this. Welcome to the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast. My name is Matthew Carroll.
I'm Ashley Coffin.
And my name's J. Scotty St. Clair.
Welcome, my friends. I'm so glad you guys are both here. I'm so glad, J. Scotty, you could jump in last minute. Jeff was supposed to be here tonight and bailed last second, but we needed as many voices to talk about Daredevil tonight as possible, and your perspective was needed, my friend. So thank you.
Yeah, just loss is my gain. I am stoked to be here. Thank you for having me. Absolutely.
I guess we can just dive right in. Spoiler alert, we have seen episode 3. We're going to talk about it, so don't be mad at us. I guess this episode, just to for future people who are listening to this in the future, this is the trial of the White Tiger, and ends in his untimely demise. What did you guys think of that shocking ending?
I'm excited about it. Honestly, give me a show. Not that he's dead, but give me a show where the stakes are so high that anybody can go at any time, and then I'm on the edge of my seat for the entire season.
I totally agree with you, but after last week, Foggy's death overshadowed my entire view of last week's episode. I could not really get past it. That was the thing that was most... Yeah, exactly. 2 full episodes, and my mind stayed on the first 10 minutes or whatever. I really and that was showed in our coverage, and we'll talk about that later, some of our feedback we've gotten and stuff, but I've gone back and watched both episodes again, and there's so much good in those first 2 episodes that my mind couldn't focus on in our first reactions, because I was just Foggy's dead. Foggy's dead, and that it was a lot. It really, and I think it's on. I'm trying to get to the White Tiger of it all, but I am more and more on board with the fact that Foggy's death happened the way it did, because I think it shocks the system. It shocks us back into we're in this world. If it had come back and been status quo Daredevil for a while, it would have felt boring. And if it had come back and Foggy and Karen weren't there for no reason, like they had planned to do, it would have felt terrible. But this gives us a reason for Matt to be in this position and not be Daredevil for a while and just be lawyering, but it also breaks our hearts and gives us a reason the status quo has been disrupted and makes us feel like it's a real extension of the Netflix show without being a retread. And I really think that the death of Foggy is incredibly important to the show, and I'm more and more happy about it, as mad as I am about it. But to your point, Ashley, the same thing with White Tiger. I am really bummed. I was loving White Tiger, and after his death, the credits. You guys noticed the credits, right?
Of course.
It was the noise of the frog. It was the noise of his island that he talked about.
Kokwi.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The Kokwi, yeah. Oh, that was so heartbreaking. Just the complete silent sounds of the island. Oh man, that was terrible. What did you think, Jay Scotty?
Well, that's what made it so poignant. And I'm reeling. It was a gut punch. I think I knew something bad was going to happen the second he suited up again, just with everything that took place through the course of the episode. But
yeah,
the brutality of the execution and then the reveal of the Punisher emblem. And again, well, I'll say it for the first time. I don't know if it's Punisher. I think it's misleading. They were very intentional about not showing the face, but as a way of ending the episode, what a way to just stick the landing and have me saying, wholly explicative. Sorry, can't say that.
You can't.
Explicitive.
Expletive.
Expletive.
There we go.
Thank you.
There was some word I was doing the same thing with last night. I don't remember what it was, but I could not get this one word out, and it kept coming out. I was trying to say deceptive, and I kept going desicative.
Oh, I know about that.
Yeah.
I live in a world of Newport Film Festival.
We know all about
it. But I'm glad we got the confirmation about the Punisher tattoo. I didn't Google it or go into it more than watching it. But now we're seeing the graffiti is on the side of buildings, and we got a really good look at it. And now it's on somebody who's not the Punisher's bulletproof vest. It was a very Punisher-esque style kill, though. I'll give him that.
Well, was it though? I feel like Frank kills, but I don't know. If he's killing one guy, I feel like he kills him face to face. I don't know about the sneakiness of it felt less Punisher to me, but maybe I'm wrong. I know that in the first season, one of the things he does is sneak up and just kill whole gangs full of people.
It depends on what's going on with him that day. You know, he's just kind of...
Sure. It just seemed very not badass, and if that were Frank, I think it would be more like in his face, like, I don't know, like...
If whatever. It does end up being Frank, which I still think it's not, I think that begs some backstory. Like, they had some interaction which would lead to the brutality of that execution again, because I'm with you both. I think Frank's a little more personal. He wants to tell you the reason why this is happening to you, unless he, values you as, like, less than dirt. Like, anybody that he had a real grudge against, I feel like he wanted that moment to, like, this is why this is happening, right?
Well, question. Do you think Fisk had that set up as a hit? Because it was was interesting to me the way he was talking about it over it. So it's, and you're like, Frank is not going to work for Fisk at this point, probably not. Right.
Well, it's perfect because the trial went down so that it convinced everyone that White Tiger was a hero. And now Fisk, by killing White Tiger using the Punisher outfit, he is convincing the world that, like, oh, maybe that was one of the good vigilantes, but he's dead now, and I'm going to convince you even more that vigilantes are terrible because the one you liked is now dead by the hands of the other one.
You're totally right, because that brings up the line of dialogue he had with Vanessa. He's like, you need to let them have the infighting because that's going to result in a lasting peace. So, and that's what he wants with vigilantes as well. So yeah, totally.
Yeah. I think it's definitely a false flag, false skull operation being done, and like it's to kill the White Tiger because he is a hero to the people. Like, Matt's speech was so effective. It made Hector even realize how much of a hero he had been. Like, there was such a great moment of pride when he stood there and gave all the speech of all the different people who believed him to be a hero, whether he's wearing the suit or not, he is a hero. And then it made Matt even sit out and, like, hold his Daredevil horn. He had to rub his horn for a while and think about his days as Daredevil and, like, the impact he made. Yeah.
Well, that's why it makes me laugh, because I was like, Matt, you hypocrite. But he can't even get through one sentence of, like, talking to himself about not being Daredevil without kind of starting to cry a little bit. And I just think it's so cute and sad. He's like, you just got to never wear the suit again.
He was totally projecting.
Yeah. He's like, you can't put it on again, no matter what. And then he immediately went and put it on, which, I was kind of like, hey, man, half of the cops are kind of after you. This might not be the best idea. And you're just kind of loosey-goosey walking down the street.
Yeah, that was weird. That was a weird, like, him walking around. And he looked like he was wearing, like, white jeans, too, which I don't know why. That just made me laugh. But he's, like, walking down in this, like, very, I don't know, not heroic, not superhero-y, sneaky way. He's just, like, walking down the street. And maybe that's just how he patrolled regularly, was just patrolling his streets, which is cool.
True.
Did you guys catch, I gotta hope that Officer Morales, he says it differently, but Officer Morales was Miles's dad, right? Maybe?
Gotta be.
Oh,
gotta be.
I mean, why not? Why not at this point?
We already got one mention of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Just keep them coming.
Which Spider-Man?
One mention of Spider-Man, and we've had a mention of Miles in universe. So, right. So I'm really hoping that was a Officer Morales call out to Miles's dad.
Well, that might actually be a change up then too. It could be his mom. That is. Oh no, his dad typically takes his mom's last name.
Oh yeah. Oh, I don't know. Actually, I don't know. You may be right.
I'm fairly certain he is. I'm struggling on his first name, but it's a problematic pairing of a first and last name. So he goes for Morales. Sorry that I can't pull it right now. See if I can find it.
Yeah, I just knew it was a cop. So I was like, oh, I wonder.
Maybe
it's Jefferson Davis. That's why. Sorry.
That's it. That's right. Okay, so does he take the name Morales, or that's just his name, Jefferson Davis?
In the Spider-Verse movies, at least, I think he takes on the last name Morales. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
that would be cool. The Punisher skull, which we've seen, we saw it on the tattoo, and now we've seen it on the wall with the word "triggered" on it. Which in our world, triggered is like, when you've gone emotional, but like I wonder if triggered is like Punisher's having an effect on some people, like waking them up that they've got to do violence to make the world better or something. I don't know.
I'm very interested to see what this becomes, because I'm like, is this the stuff that's going to bring Frank Castle out of whatever hiding he's in? Like, when is it going to be enough is enough? And so many people are using his symbol, and when is he going to see it? And now a big murder's just happened that I don't know if the people will know that that's somebody was wearing his suit to do it, but he's going to be pissed.
Yeah, I definitely think that especially if it was Fisk, there's going to be like camera footage of White Tiger being taken down by someone in a Punisher outfit. And then Matt is going to have to wonder if that was Frank and go like, we've seen in the trailers, he seeks out Frank, and I have a feeling he's going to be seeking out Frank to find out what happened.
Best friend. But when Fisk hit them with that real heroes don't hide them, like real heroes don't need to hide, I was like, damn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's still such a hypocrite, though.
I know. Well, that's why I love him and Vanessa. Vanessa's like, I'm not picking out the porcelains and the Christmas decorations in the mayor's house. I'm trying to launder this money, honey, and you are getting in my way. Like, I really love their little dynamic because it's so hostile.
Yeah. They're she still wants to be the crime boss. And it's interesting. I can't figure Fisk out right now because he seems to genuinely not want to be doing crimes. And he seems to genuinely want, like, I don't think he's mad about the Adam thing, at least at this point. I think he seems to be like genuinely okay with that. Sure. And like, but she's pushing him back towards the kingpin of it all.
She loves that crime life.
She does.
He still clearly has like fresh wounds on his knuckles, though, and we have not had an explanation regarding those because there was the great edit between his hands and Matt's hands when Matt's washing his hands in the sink.
Yeah. Well, I was wondering, throughout the seasons of Daredevil, we've had him, and I think in this season, we had a flash of him viewing himself as a child, right? Wasn't that in the first episode still?
I don't remember
he was getting ready.
I don't think so.
Several times throughout the first 3 seasons, for sure.
Yeah, maybe I'm thinking of season 3. I'm thinking of the last episode of Daredevil season 3. That's what I'm thinking of. Because it's a callback to when he kept viewing himself as a child. And it's in the final episode. He looks in the mirror, and he views himself as this child with the hammer, you know. And I was wondering because this episode, it didn't look like a fresh wound. It was like blood on his hands. It looked like it was like just blood on his knuckles at one point. And I'm wondering if that's like a flash of him seeing his hands as bloody because I didn't notice the blood until one shot, and I was wondering if it was him imagining blood on his hands or something. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that. I agree with you though. Those wounds on his knuckles have been appearing and disappearing. It seems like to me.
I think cutting it with Daredevils makes me think that they are like doing punchies in the background. Like even if Fisk is just like, oh, I'm punching the floor because I can't control Vanessa, I wouldn't be surprised. He needs to get his energy out somehow, you know? Sure. But no, I think he's putting on this whole like, oh, you know, they're not going to be able to touch us. But what he forgets is like, you can't change the past, Fisk. Like people are always going to be coming for you. No matter if you become the president, no matter who you become, you had this whole other life and people are coming for you.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Definitely the crime world, as Vanessa says, like once one of them emerges as the king of the underworld, you are going to be their target because you are the one person that still is above them, even if you've left the life, and they're going to want to take you down.
Vanessa's spitting the truth.
Yeah, for sure.
Also, I just have to bring up that watching Matt Murdock lawyer like turns me out just as much as watching him Daredevil. Oh my God.
Sure.
I didn't even like give me full lawyer episodes. I don't even care. And I am an action junkie. I was like, oh my God. I love a Matt Murdock. And that's what I liked about how long the seasons on Netflix were, because you could do full lawyery episodes. So I am really glad that we got one. Maybe we won't get another. Yeah. I don't know. But I was very happy.
I think we'll get at least a few more court scenes. But I will say, on following that thread, I was glad that the trial of Hector was resolved in this episode. At one point I was feeling like, how long are they going to extend this? Like, how many episodes is this going to get extended across? And I think, the moment that he revealed the White Tiger mask and said, "Are you this vigilante?" Like, that changed the trajectory of everything.
For sure. And when I saw that he had won the case, I immediately said out loud, I was like, oh, well, now Fisk is going to be after White Tiger.
Sure.
Yeah. He can't keep his eye on the prize.
Well, I was thinking it was going to be legally. Like, I was thinking he was going to, like, because he's talked about how he's got to go after the vigilantes. I thought he was going to be like, okay, I'm going to, try to put him up on charges for his vigilantism. Even though he's won this case, I'm going to make sure that the city knows that vigilantism isn't okay. But then that shot, I was like, oh, he came after him all right. Like, immediately, just, he's gone. And I'm so bummed to have another major death that I was, a character I was really just starting to like and really just starting to like, trust and care for. And I was excited to see him. We never really got to see him do a full vigilante thing. I'm bummed to see that character gone.
Yeah. Raise the stakes. Yeah. Keep me on the edge of my seat. Anybody could die at any time. I love it.
Yeah. I'm with you there.
Very Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, another thing I really liked was I'm loving the BB Urich inserts. They're setting, they're just something new for the show, something we hadn't did that wasn't in the Netflix show at all. It's a completely new thing, and it really sets a tone, and like the way they change the aspect ratio, and like you just get the vibe of the city. Something we've often talked about with the original Daredevil series is how Josie's was this place where they go and you sort of made the city feel lived in, because there's these random people. Some of them are criminals, some of them are cops, and it's just like, oh, these are people in the world. The city feels like it's full of people. I think those BB inserts really make that case strong and make you really get a sense of what the city is feeling and the different perspectives and the way that like public opinion is going to have a big effect on the events of this show, especially with Fisk being mayor and all these juries dealing with things. Like public opinion is going to matter, and I don't know, I really love that sense of the city. That combined with Fisk being mayor makes me really feel like this show is about all of New York, instead of feeling like it's about this small sect of violence or this small, like, season 3 of Daredevil was very expansive in the sense that like Fisk had his hands controlling a lot of people, but it was still just like the criminals and the cops. Like it didn't feel like the whole city was involved. And now it just feels like everyone has an opinion and everyone has thoughts about what's going on. And it just makes the show feel bigger. It makes the show feel like, I don't know, not scared to be a larger scale show, I guess.
Yeah, I agree. I really enjoy the interstitials. And I know we're here to talk about this episode, but I can't help but wonder, with Fisk bringing BB back in, will we see those change in future episodes? Like, depending on where she's at and her view on vigilantes, will she start to have a bias in her edits or who she chooses to interview? Or will the people in the public, will their opinions start to change? I'm sure we're going to start to hear some people bag on Frank Castle in the next one.
Yeah, exactly. I think Frank is going to be the focus of a lot of ire. And then we're going to have to, Daredevil's going to have to hunt him down, and we're going to find out, of course, it wasn't Frank. Like, anyone that's watching this and going like, Frank did it. Oh my gosh, that's just not, that is not what just happened. I just don't see it.
Right.
My favorite part of their conversation was when he's like, I should know because I'm out. I mean, you didn't hear that. They just both stared at each other. When Fisk was talking to the interview, the girl giving him the interview.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's like, I
exactly
should know
he meant by that.
Because I'm out. I mean, let's move on.
Did he say because I'm out? I know he said, juries get it wrong. I should know.
Yeah, I mean.
But it's like.
Oh, right.
Well, no, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know which one I think he might mean the opposite. Like, juries get it wrong. Look, they prosecuted me. Innocent old me. Like, look at me. Like, that was all trumped up charges or whatever,
Don't say the magic word.
Sorry. I may trigger more feedback of people who can't, hear his name without needing to come worship him in the comments.
Shade, no shade.
Shade, no shade. But no, yeah, he's like that I didn't know if he was saying I should know juries get it wrong because I'm free and I did bad things, or if he's saying I should know because I was prosecuted. I don't know what the public knows about his crimes.
I think it could be a double meaning. He might be saying that to BB, like, of course I'm the mayor, I was prosecuted and it was unfairly so, but in his heart of hearts, as a quote unquote changed man, maybe he does feel a certain way about his prior methods, but he doesn't feel that bad about it, right?
No.
Yeah, I don't
even if he meant it one way, he still kind of did that little like side eye, like, yeah, innocent. I'm like, okay, nobody believes you. But here we are.
Yeah, both of these men, Daredevil and Kingpin, which, I mean, the show is always about, and it's always about those two heading towards each other. They're both being huge hypocrites in this episode.
Oh, big time.
For sure.
This shouldn't have been called the Hollow Hand. It should have just been called Hypocrite! No. I was like, because I know Matt did the right thing at the end, like in the end, but when he was doing it, I was like, how dare you do that to him and put him on the spot? Are you crazy? How would you have felt if somebody did that to you, even if it would have gotten you out of trouble? Which does happen in the comics several times, but still.
Sure.
Like, come on, Matt. He was right. He was right in the end, but it did make me yell at my TV.
Sure. Yeah, no, he was right. But I also don't think he was right. If he had not done that, Hector might still be alive.
Oh, that's a 50-50,
and would he been willing to make that gamble with his own situation?
Yeah.
Like,
they still knew who he was, kind of.
Yeah. I think that it was really shitty of him to out him without talking to him first.
It's
exactly
agree.
what Hector said.
Yeah.
And I think you see that from the reaction from not only his partner, was it Kirsten, but also Cherry. Cherry kind of gives him this look like, wow, the audacity you have to do this to this guy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Cherry being the only one who knows what's going on in this situation, really. It's a good point. I didn't catch his look, but yeah, I bet that's a real stank look from Cherry, I bet.
I do have to say, I love the nickname Cherry Cola for Cherry. I think it was Nicky Flores that called him Cherry Cola.
Cherry Cola, as he's bringing him the drugs, as if he's like bringing him some cherry. Oh, my Cherry Cola's here. Like, that was really good. Guys, I am loving this show. We said earlier we would talk a little bit about the feedback we were getting. Our feedback has been wild this week. It is on a roller coaster. Half the people are being very kind about the song I wrote, so thank you for all of you who are writing about that.
That's lovely, and it is an amazing song. You did a great job.
Yeah,
thank you,
I'm glad you're doing
I don't read the comments for my mental health, so everybody can just suck it.
And then another segment of the comments are mad that Trump got mentioned 2 weeks in a row because the show is alluding to Trump. I'm sorry. And then the other bunch are mad at us for not liking the show more or being too negative.
But I did like the show. I don't know.
I love the show. I think that
it's hard when you talk about it.
It is hard. You said it earlier, Jay Scotty, before we were recording. Please,
as a listener,
give voice to that. Yeah.
As a listener, between both of the two episodes, the episode you all did, as well as the episode you and Jeff did, I came away. I was a little surprised. I didn't think you guys hated the show or anything like that. I was like, I thought they would have liked it more. And it did come across that you enjoyed it, but I think you did lean a little heavily into the criticisms, which is fair. There were criticisms, and I think a lot of them were in that opening scene.
I'm
gonna what everybody wants to focus on.
I will not get off my box. Daredevil is all about like hand-to-hand combat and not doing the CGI, and I just don't see why they did it. And that's all. But it was the first 5 seconds of the
thing. That's the thing. I think we were very one thing when you're talking about a thing. It is hard not to focus on the criticisms because it is a thing to talk about. Sure. So let me apologize. I do think we were a little overfocused.
I don't think an apology is required. I think, from a listener perspective, I think that's where you just have to take things in stride and,
Yeah. No, I think that like sometimes it is hard because sometimes it's hard to have an intelligent discussion about something you love. Sometimes it takes more energy, and sometimes we end up just being like, okay, oh man, this was so great. I love this. And then when you get to a criticism, it's this thing you can dissect and talk about why you did and didn't like it. And so sometimes I think we are a little, any podcast can be easy to slip into criticisms. And I don't think we had big problems with it either of the last two episodes, but I do think we over-focused on that first scene. I said it earlier, that Foggy death had me, I just couldn't look past it. I just kept thinking about the Foggy death the entire time. It's a pivotal
moment of the episode of the series, yeah.
And it being so different from the rest of the show, and the rest of the show was pretty slow, and it was like, but now that I've rewatched it, if it didn't have that first scene, and I just focus on what happens with Fisk running for mayor and the second episode with Hector and everything leading up to his trial, that second episode is so good. Fisk is so good in it. There's so many great. When he says, "I hated that sandwich," I lost it today. Like, there's like these little, like, he ate that sandwich from Philly, and he's like, "Maybe I like this sandwich better." And then they leave the room, and he's like, "That sandwich was terrible." It's just so funny. It's so freaking funny. There's so many great moments in that, like, that are smaller. And when we're doing a reaction episode, it's just hard to remember all that, especially in the shadow of Foggy's death.
I also think it's been how many years, and Daredevil's one of my favorite Marvel characters, and I thought that the show did such a good job, and I loved it so much. And still to this day, the most memorable scene, even put up against all the MCU movies, is the hallway fight scene. Everybody knows it. Everybody talks about it. Everybody tries to top it since then within their own show, within other shows. The Daredevil hallway scene changed a lot of things. And I think that's why maybe, like, just to see the CGI on a show that's never used CGI like that, I don't think. And I've watched those from Jessica Jones to all of them. Well, obviously she's doing Superpower, but like Daredevil, I don't remember them ever needing to rely on CGI to get their points across with the same characters in those scenes. And I would like to see them give those jobs to stunt people to do the fights that make it look so real, the things that we love, and it's visceral and it's raw, and you're like, oh my God, my nose is broken too.
Yeah.
And I just think it was just a little shocking to see it so, I don't know,
totally.
MC, totally marveled, like Marvel money, like just doing it when you didn't need to. When it's
like when you had the hallway and a bunch of dudes, and you had to figure out how to make the camera move right to do. There's just something really beautiful about somebody building something like that. You know, it feels like a bunch of guys really working it out and like making it work with no technology, and you just got the camera and the people, and you just do it. That is so cool, and I'm right there with you. But at the same time, that is not our feelings about the overall episode. It was our criticisms about that scene, and there's some. But the episode
I said the batoning around the city. I was cool with that. I didn't care how weird that looked. I was just happy to see him do it, and I said that. Quote me.
No, and like I said, I don't think an apology is required at all. But to be fair, I don't disagree with anything that you're saying. I think hindsight's 20/20. I think if they could do it all over again, I think just omitting some of those CGI heavy sequences probably just would have improved things overall. There's a lot of smoke, a lot of obscuring of things. So you're saying
you agree?
I'm saying I agree. And to give some credit to friend of the show, Haley, she and I were talking about the show earlier, and she mentioned that we do know that the show underwent some changes and some reshoots, and I do think that sequence in particular spoke to some like hurried and maybe rushed reshoots that had to take place to make things happen in that first episode.
I definitely think that's true. I speculated about it, how it seemed like what they did is they took these 2 episodes that were already written and they added the Karen and Foggy scenes, and that's what it seems like they changed. And it did give it a ton more connectivity. The Foggy death, as I said earlier, shocked us back into this world in a way that we're like, oh my gosh, this character I love is dead. And it really felt painful. And I think that all works really well. So I think they did a really good job of what they'd added. But I do, there's just, the show has a different tone than the Netflix series. And so it's all this stuff that we like talked about last week, but it's just sometimes easy to, I'm not apologizing for anything we said. When I said I'm sorry, I was specifically saying I'm sorry. And it's something I actively try to do. And those of you listening today on the YouTube live heard me before the show. I was like, what are our key takeaways that we want to talk about first? Because like, it's really easy to fall into on a podcast and be like, oh, there's this little criticism. And then you talk about it for 20 minutes before you realize and pull out of it. You're like, we should talk about the other things we actually liked. And so that's what I was apologizing for, not for anything we said. I still stand by everything we said.
Oh, absolutely.
Hey, as long as they don't do it again.
Everybody gets one.
I really don't mind if they change the fighting style. If this turned into as long as it's good. And I think when you talk about the Disney money and the Marvel style fighting, that first scene was still like a really good version of that. Like, it was stylized, it was interesting, it kept character, it was character driven.
Totally.
So I think that fight works really well. Like, it reminds me of something like James Gunn would do, or something. It's still Marvel-fied, but it still has style, has creativity, has originality. all those things are important, and it's character driven. So like, if that's the new Daredevil fight style, I will get on board. But like, it was surprising.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, I'm not going to, this is the last thing I'm going to say about it. I also blame them in their trailers because we have to watch the trailers so much. And the couple scenes that we've seen, I'm not going to go into it, didn't look like that.
Okay.
There's two fight sequences that I can remember from the trailer that might have looked like a hallway.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
It might have looked like something else that we've already seen in Punisher. But yeah, I was just shocked.
Yeah, I get that.
That's fine. Like I said, once because of rewrites. Okay, I'll take that. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see what the planned fight sequences they had for the end of the series are, and that'll be really interesting. One thing I've got written down here is that one police officer that we're seeing. I don't know his name. The one that he's on trial, the partner of the guy he's on trial for killing. But anyway, that police officer knows that Matt can fight. He tells him in the bathroom, like, "So a blind lawyer who can fight, huh?" And
what was that from? What did I miss? One of the last episodes?
That was the guy that I think he was the guy that we thought he might have broken his neck, right?
Yeah, that's why he has that big bruise on his face. Is
in the apartment at the end, right?
Correct. Okay. In the apartment. So that guy has seen Matt Murdock fight in that insanely powerful way. And I'm wondering if there will also be, like, Annie's got that Punisher tattoo. Like, I bet there is a subculture going on of people wanting to follow in the Punisher's footsteps.
100%. Yeah.
That might be what we saw when Nikki was being roughed up. We might be seeing two of the police officers who are, willing to go further because they've been inspired by the Punisher, put them down so they don't get back up kind of thing. They might be going after Nikki in that subway thing. Like that might be two of the guys who are like acolytes of the Punisher. Sure. And I want to see the Punisher come in and be like, no, this isn't what I was going for.
Not to bring up DC, but you know how in the Dark Knight, all those dudes are like, we care, we can protect the city. And then Batman's like, not wearing hockey pants. It's kind of like,
I'm not wearing hockey pants.
Yeah, it's kind of like the same thing. Like these guys are like, we're cops and we're going to we're going to take it back.
Yeah.
And he's going to come back and put heads to bed.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm going to tread lightly and be very careful with my word choice here because I do not want to condone any of the actions of that officer. I think he's a total POS. But there were moments like when he was, on the stand and like he was contemplating, do I know Nikki Torres? Am I going to lie under oath? And there was real conflict there. And he talked about some of his accolades like community service and integrity. So it's like, he's clearly not a good guy, but I think he believes he is a good guy. So even though he is in direct conflict with Matt Murdock right now, I think that does speak to, even though the Punisher is a very flawed character, it's coming from some sense of they think they're heroes, right? So.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's interesting. I agree with you. I didn't take that from his not wanting to lie. I did not take that as a evidence of his...
There was a pause.
Right. I agree, but his not wanting to lie, I thought was because... he thought it was a trap. When a lawyer's asking you, do you know this person? Are you sure you don't know this person? He might be going, if I lie right now and then it is revealed, like if he has something on me, then that will ruin this case. And he may, so that's the way I took that pause.
Sure.
But like, you might be right. Yeah, there might be some, I do, all these guys think they're the heroes of their own story, which is what this show does at its best. Like, that's why Fisk is such an interesting character. He is the hero of his own story.
Right.
Well, kind of. Fisk is the hero of his own story until the last episode of season 1 of Daredevil when he's like, I am the ill intent. That whole sequence.
Exactly who he is.
Yeah, he knows who he is. But then there's this whole Maya Lopez making him forget his fear or whatever.
Over here.
Forget his trauma. So who knows who he is now?
Yeah, what did it do to him?
Yeah, we don't know. I don't know
if it got brought up between the two episodes you guys have covered so far, but I think it was in episode 2 with Heather, Matt's romantic interest. I think she was doing a book signing where you have like a wiry kind of guy come up and ask for a signature. And I think that's totally Muse. Like,
yeah,
that's a good call.
So, yeah.
Their conversation was interesting. It's funny how Matt just tries to smile away his pain. Like, while she's talking about Foggy and trying to get him to talk about Foggy, he just has this fake plastered like smile. Like, it's fine. It's fine. It's my friend. It's fine. But he just keeps that like smile, and I'm like, oh, I cannot wait for my Matt Murdock meltdown. And he's going to do it on somebody's face because he just pushes it all down. That's that Catholic guilt. You just push it down. You act like everything's fine. And no, like, yeah, I'm sad, but I can't show it. You gotta put emotions. And then he's going to freak out, and I can't wait. Kind of like how he did in the end of the second episode.
Yeah, the apartment. Sure.
Mm-hmm.
When he screamed.
Little bursts.
Yeah. Oh, we were just talking about Fisk and his all his hypocrisy and stuff, but and where he is with the Maya touch and all that. But one really threatening line he had this episode was when they're about to be in therapy and he finds out that Vanessa did something he didn't like, and he said, "Let's not fall into a place where I don't trust you."
Such a threatening,
threatening way to say. Oh my gosh!
You're like, couples therapy, God bless them. I'd be like, do you want to know what he just said to me?
And she could clearly tell that something just went down.
Yeah, she walks in and they were having the most open dialogue they've had probably about all this, and then those therapists come to like, clam up.
Far away on the couch as they could be from each other.
Yeah,
it seems like Fisk is making the intentional decision to not cover up his scars in the therapy sessions now. I noticed his scar from, the shot to the face was like very visible in that sequence.
Yeah, I did too. There's been kind of hit or miss how visible the scar has been, and I've been wondering about that, if they're like making him up for certain mayor appearances, but in everyday life he's not as made up or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, he's got the ill maquillage on his knuckles. No scars.
No scars at all.
Yeah.
What is that dish he's always eating that he's so meticulous about that he makes?
Oh, he's I think he's on like a strict diet. It looks just like asparagus and eggs.
Okay, I thought it might have been an egg souffle.
There's some sort of egg, but I just always think it's like very complicated whatever he's eating. Like, and he's cooking
that's
himself.
Rich. I want to be on a diet. Cook me something healthy. And then you're like, God damn it, I don't want to eat this.
But that's the thing, he's doing it himself a lot of times, which like, I don't know, there's just something like kind of beautiful about that, like taking the time. Like, I cook for my family, but when I'm cooking for myself, it's like microwave something and just get something in my face. It's just very easy to not treat yourself. But when he's like in his apartment or whatever, cooking some amazing egg, and then he sits down to just eat it by himself, I'm always like, that's some self-care. He's got some good mental health practices happening there.
That's the only thing he's in control of in his entire life. So that's why it looks so peaceful.
You think that's the only thing he has control? I was like, okay, I think that's like, you think because his rage is not under control?
No, just like, like you say you have like someone at work who like takes their day out on someone, and you find out that like their wife at home like rules with an iron fist, and it's like, this is what he has. Like Fisk he's always something crazy, and the one thing he can control is breakfast. I could see that's why it would be his happy place.
I hear that. I think that is true for a lot of people, like having something like that. But for Fisk, I think he just has to be in control of everything. And if something's not right, rage ensues and chaos reigns. He
hasn't been able to do it recently that we see.
He's the mayor.
That's what's on his fists.
Yeah, we'll see what's on his fists. That'll be interesting to find out about the fists. The Fisks.
Fisk's fists.
Fisk's fists.
Can fix it.
That's right.
Not really.
That's good. I want that hat. Fisk's fits. That's not how easy to say at all.
It's a new tongue twister. Yeah.
That is for sure. Okay, we got a couple people right in. Angel Capel says, my only issue with the episode is Matt Murdock should not have outed Hector. Should have just had him ask last minute. I agree. Like, that should have been a question, because he doesn't know. Like, Daredevil has done the vigilante thing and knows what it is to have people that he loves and have enemies out there and all this stuff. And like, to out him like that when Matt knows the risks of being a vigilante and why you hold your identity close to your chest. Like, yeah, that was projecting. Really bad. I guess. I feel like it was a stupid decision. Really, I don't know, narrow-minded, I guess, or narrow-focused on winning a case. It should have been Hector's choice. Like, do you want to win this case, or do you want to
not guilty. Who's still the best lawyer around?
At what cost, though? Because not only has Hector died, but certainly he has earned the ire of that judge, and then that one, I can't remember his exact title. What is he, an ADA, or ADA's work underneath him? So he's the AD, right? So
yeah.
He's like, you're not even going to be able to do simple traffic court without. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. Matt's in so much trouble. But also, like, White Tiger, Miami seems great this time of year. Why don't you get out of town? Just take a break.
Yeah. What's the thing?
Everybody did all the wrong things.
It's not him. Like, that's it. The White Tiger is not a costume or whatever he said. It's a calling. You know, it's who he is. And he gets in it because it's the right thing to do. And so after all those speeches about how he gets in it because it's the right thing to do, then you let him out. And he just, of course, you've inspired him to go do it again. After telling him you can't, you inspired him to go do it again. And it's really shitty. And I hope Matt feels a lot of that Catholic guilt about it next episode.
Of course he is. They were like, "You're free to go. No more white tigering." And he's like, "Okay."
All right, TV Movie Guy says, have we gotten the story of how Fisk got out of prison since this is a continuation of the Netflix series? I think we gave it a pass in Hawkeye or Echo since we didn't know the continuity. Yeah, I don't know.
I think we are giving it a pass, but just to do some quick canon, maybe the ramifications of the blip and the snap, they may have had some early release situations for those able to afford it.
Or the people who are ready to testify against him all, like a bunch of them flipped if you remember the end of the season 3, like some people finally like flipped to give testimony against him, and like maybe those people got blipped and maybe or died in the events of the blip. Maybe their plane crashed, all those things that happened. So yeah, that's some good headcanon, but it could also just be that he somehow beat the case because that's Fisk's thing. Like he figures out a way out of trouble, even when you think you've got him after season 1, because he went to jail after season 1 too, and then he got out.
Yeah.
And then at the end of season 3, you think he's gone again, and then Daredevil has this threat to him that he better like shape up and stay in jail. But then Daredevil apparently stopped being Daredevil. So that happens later.
He went to jail to take the fall for Vanessa, right? They were coming after her. And so he was like, "Just take me."
Not really. They were both going down, but Daredevil made him promise not to out his identity or come after Foggy and Karen because Daredevil had evidence that Vanessa was involved, and Daredevil promised not to prosecute Vanessa if Fisk would leave Foggy and Karen alone and leave Matt's identity secret. Was the deal they struck at the end.
That was season 3, right?
Yeah, that's the end of season 3. All right. Well, any last thoughts, guys?
No, I'm just excited. I'm having a good time. I really like the tone. Even I guess it didn't sound like it, but I do.
No.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's the thing. That's why I was saying sorry, because I think we didn't express the positives we should have, because the show has so many positives.
It was 11:15 at night. Okay.
Yeah. And it was not just you. It was, like I said, the episode Matt and Jeff did as well. It was like, I thought they would be a little more positive than
Jeff,
they were,
he's
especially
not even
Jeff.
here trying to get out of it.
Yeah, it's mostly Jeff. Let's just blame it on Jeff.
Jeff, what did you do? I'm not there for one day.
We said nothing but positive things. Then Jeff comes around and just really craps on the show.
What a Debbie Downer.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Jeff. I know he doesn't listen, but I'm sorry, Jeff.
He absolutely doesn't listen. He could say anything.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for being here. Anybody have anything they want to tell the people about?
Check us out on Bill and Ashley's Terror Theater. We have Leprechaun coming out on St. Patrick's Day next week. So
nice.
Tune in. It'll be a nice Irish fun.
Yeah. What about you, Jay Scotty?
Multiverse news. Always watching, where we're talking about Severance season 2.
Sweet. And the two big things I've got going on right now is the review contest all over Stranded Panda. We have, if you go to strandedpanda.com, there is a banner at the top of the page that is a link to the contest rules, and it's basically review us on Apple or rate us on Spotify, and then send us a screenshot of that rating to strandedpandacontest@gmail.com. That way we get them all in one place, and we can do some random number generators, and somebody will win a PS5 and 2 Marvel games, Spider-Man 2 and that other Marvel 1943.
Rise of Hydra, you got it.
Yeah, that's it. Rise of Hydra. So all that's one big thing. So go review all those Stranded Panda shows. And on that link that I have on strandedpanda.com, if you click the banner, It has all the shows listed and a link to their Spotify and their Apple, so it's really easy. You can just go directly to them by clicking on the links. The other thing is, you guys know I'm writing songs for all these episodes. Also, directly next to or below that banner, there's a banner for my Indiegogo fundraising for the songwriting that I'm going to be doing this whole season of Daredevil, and I'm excited. And if you can support it, it would be really appreciated. Thank you guys very much for hanging out. We'll be back soon. Peace.
Until next time, true believers.
Hey, you just listened to the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast from Stranded Panda. I really hope you liked it. Let me just say a big thank you to all of our supporters on patreon.com/MCUcast. You are the lifeblood of our little operation here, and a huge thank you to our insanely generous Illuminati tier patrons, Walter Kreisky III, Lieutenant Bongo, and Jazz Viz. You guys are amazing. If you'd like to see our beautiful faces, you can catch a video version of many of our episodes at youtube.com/strandedpanda. Love you 3000, my friends.